We've all heard of interactive movies, but what about interactive television? That's the best way to describe the new game Dark Nights with Poe and Munro, an episodic paranormal series that mixes mystery with humor. It looks and feels like a TV show, but is this new full-motion video game worth tuning into? Yeah, that's what I intend to find out. This is the story of John Pope and Ellison Munro, two hosts that work together on a paranormal talk show in the not-so-sleepy town of August. This fun conceit allows them to get into a bunch of episodic adventures that are vaguely related to horror and science fiction, and then they turn around and talk about all those adventures to their captivated audience. It's sort of like if Mulder and Scully decided to quit being FBI agents and instead devoted all of their time to podcasting. Dark Nights with Poe and Munro is split up into 6 different episodes, each running about a half hour. They may be sitcom length, but each one of them sets up a unique conundrum that involves everything from solving kidnappings, to channeling past lives, to dealing with the very real possibility of time travel. There are also much simpler scenarios, such as a thriller of a pilot episode that sees our 2 attractive hosts scared into isolation because a caller wants to kill them. There's a nice mix of big and small episodes, each with a lighthearted sensibility that never feels like mockery. Now, if all this sounds like I'm talking about a new television show, then you're not far off. This is the kind of full-motion video game where the most you do is make choices. Each episode will force the player into making between 6 and 8 quick decisions that could potentially change the way the story plays out. It's usually simple things, like deciding who has the better plan or what they should pick up in one of the more tense situations. There's even a high-stakes game of rock, paper, scissors that I'm pretty sure is rigged against our heroes. And you know, that's part of the problem I have with this game. Yeah, the choices you make will impact certain aspects of the story, but it's never to the point where you feel compelled to rush back in and see how it could have played out. It also doesn't help that it's not especially clear what you're choosing between. You'll often see 2 different objects without any text and be expected to know what the difference is in a matter of seconds. I was constantly surprised by the path I chose to the point where I never actually felt like I was in any kind of control. Now, one thing that I liked about the episodes is that they never felt repetitive. The developers have found a number of unique ways to add new and different mechanics that are specific to certain episodes. For example, when Poe and Munro go on a hunt for a missing kid, they're given a map of August and able to jump between the different people and locations. There's also an episode where we meet a woman who can read other people's minds, forcing the players to choose the images of things that they want to think about. That's a fun idea, and I wish that we saw more of that kind of thing in other episodes, because too many of them are just painfully straightforward. From a storytelling perspective, there's no question that there's a lot of variety here. I like that we can go from an episode with only 2 people in a single room to a massive citywide manhunt. However, what I had a hard time getting over were the harsh tonal shifts. It's not just from episode to episode, but also from one minute to the next. The game will go from lighthearted banter to deadly serious in a blink of an eye. And there are just a lot of times when that does not work. I also kinda hate the cliffhanger ending. In fact, I found a lot of the episodes undercut their endings in unsatisfying ways. It's really annoying. I'd also like to point out that Poe and Munro are terrible radio hosts. Look, I know that's not the point. I'm probably overthinking things, but it can't be ignored. Based on what we see of their shows, they're either barely saying anything or bickering like an old married couple. And that's not a joke. These 2 argue on air in most of the episodes, to the point where it has to be uncomfortable for the listener. One of them comes across as passive-aggressive, and the other is condescending. And worst of all, neither of them has anything interesting to say to any of the callers. The most baffling part of this game isn't the time travel or the bit where Munro is trapped in a library, but rather the fact that the show has any listeners at all. You know, I have a hunch that a lot of your opinion of this game is gonna come down to what you think of Poe and Munro. These two characters feel like they were plucked right out of a sitcom, which is sometimes at odds with the world around them. I think it's safe to say that both actors are going large with their portrayals. I'd even use the word hammy. Leah Cunard, the actress who plays Munro, gives a slightly more nuanced performance than Clemens Coring. But if I'm being honest, both annoy me for different reasons. And boy, it certainly doesn't help that these are paper-thin characters. The reason they have nothing interesting to say is because they're not interesting people. The only thing compelling about them is the affair they keep hinting at, which would probably come as quite a surprise to Poe's wife. But do they do anything with that? No, not really. Who knows, perhaps they'll drag it out more if the game gets a second season. Acting aside, I like the look and style of the series. These are well-directed episodes that know how to shoot and edit compelling television, and this game is all the better for it. This is clearly a low-budget production that pinched every penny. But you know, it never really shows in the final product. In fact, with snappier dialogue and maybe more established comedy actors, I could see this being one of those genre sitcoms that goes for a bunch of seasons. I don't know. TV execs should probably take notice, but gamers may want to think twice about tuning into Dark Nights with Poe and Munro. While not especially interactive, Dark Night with Poe and Munro has enough mystery and intrigue to keep the episodic full-motion video game afloat. The 6 stories run the gamut from horror to science fiction, exploring both big and small ideas. Unfortunately, the choices aren't immediately obvious when they pop up, and the 2 leads are kind of annoying. But hey, the production is so good that you might even mistake it for a real TV show. Whether or not that's a quality you're looking for in a game is completely up to you. Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now here's the question I have for you. What is your favorite full-motion video game? I know, FMV games have a spotty history, but I'm still excited to see what you come up with in the comments below. In other news, we've had a big week full of reviews, and there's more where that came from. We'll also be back on Sunday with a brand new episode of Defunct Games News with Lauren Risley, followed by the 99th episode of Game Over on Monday. We have a big week in store for you, so I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.